Imagine a time when Russia, the largest country in the world, was just a cluster of small independent principalities. In the 9th century, a significant shift began to take place. The birth of the Kievan Rus, the first united East Slavic state, marked a turning point in the history of Russia. But who were the architects of this unity? Would you believe it if I told you they were Norse traders and warriors? Known as the Varangians, these Scandinavian voyagers played a pivotal role in the formation of the Kievan Rus. They sailed their longships along the vast river networks of Eastern Europe, trading and interacting with the Slavic tribes. Over time, they established themselves as rulers, and their influence led to the unification of these tribes. Thus, the Kievan Rus was born, a state that would become the cultural and political precursor of modern-day Russia. But as with any great empire in history, the Kievan Rus had its share of challenges. The biggest of them came in the 13th century in the form of the Mongol invasion. The Mongols, with their unparalleled military might, swept across the Rus' lands, wreaking havoc and causing widespread destruction. The once united Kievan Rus fragmented under the weight of the Mongol onslaught. But every cloud has a silver lining, and in this case, the Mongol invasion led to the emergence of several powerful regional entities. These entities, each vying for dominance, would play a crucial role in the future formation of a larger, more powerful state. So, while the Mongol invasion marked the end of the Kievan Rus, it also set the stage for the rise of a new power in the east. The fragmentation of the Rus lands led to the emergence of several principalities, each with its own distinct cultural and political identity. These principalities would eventually coalesce, forming the foundation of the Russia we know today. So the seeds of a large and powerful Russia were sown during these times of conflict and consolidation. In the ashes of Mongol rule, one principality began to rise above the rest: Moscow. Emerging from the tumultuous 13th century, Moscow began its ascent to prominence. Initially just a small principality, Moscow's strategic location at the crossroads of several important trade routes played a key role in its growth. It soon became a bustling hub of commerce, attracting merchants and nobility alike. Yet the rise of Moscow was not solely an economic story. The city also became the political and spiritual center of Russia. This was in large part due to the vision and ambition of one man, Ivan III, also known as Ivan the Great. During his long reign, Ivan III managed to free Russia from the yoke of Mongol control, refusing to pay tribute to the Mongol Khan and effectively declaring Russian independence. Centralizing power in Moscow, Ivan III turned his attention to expanding his territory. He ingeniously used a mix of marriage alliances, purchases, wars, and diplomacy to grow Moscow's influence and borders. Notably, his marriage to Sophia Paleolog, the niece of the last Byzantine emperor, allowed him to claim the legacy of the fallen Byzantine Empire and position Moscow as the Third Rome, the new spiritual center of Orthodox Christianity. However, Ivan III's expansionist policies were not without conflict. He waged several wars, notably against the Republic of Novgorod, resulting in the annexation of vast territories and reinforcing Moscow's dominance. Moscow's rise continued unabated under Ivan III's successors, who further expanded the territory and solidified its central role in Russian governance and spirituality. By the turn of the 16th century, Moscow had transformed from a small principality into an influential empire, a transformation that was instrumental in shaping the geographic and political landscape of Russia as we know it today. With the rise of Moscow, Russia began to take shape on the world map. Now, let's turn our attention to the east, where vast, sparsely populated lands awaited. As the 16th century dawned, Russia was not content to rest on its laurels. The nation's gaze turned eastward, towards the vast, untamed wilderness of Siberia. This period saw a remarkable surge in exploration and expansion, driven by a thirst for new territories and resources. The Cossacks, fierce and independent warriors from the southern Russian steppes, were instrumental in this eastward push. Their knowledge of the land, combined with their formidable fighting skills, made them invaluable in securing these new territories for the Russian crown. They were the vanguard of this eastward expansion, the tip of the spear that pierced into the heart of Siberia. But it wasn't just the Cossacks who played a role in this story of expansion. Fur traders, lured by the promise of the rich pelts that Siberia's wildlife offered, were also key players. They established trading posts as they pushed further into Siberia, creating a network of Russian influence that gradually spread across the region. The indigenous tribes of Siberia were no match for the well-armed and organized Russian forces. By the mid-17th century, the Russians had reached the Pacific coast, effectively bringing the entirety of Siberia under their control. This was a monumental achievement, the result of nearly a century of relentless expansion. But it was more than just a military victory. It was a statement of intent, a declaration that Russia was a nation with ambitions that extended far beyond its original heartland in Eastern Europe. It was a statement that Russia was a force to be reckoned with on the global stage. The eastward expansion gave Russia control over a vast territory stretching from Europe to Asia. This was a new kind of empire, one that spanned continents and time zones. It was a demonstration of Russia's power and ambition, a sign of the nation's determination to carve out its place in the world. The eastward expansion gave Russia control over a vast territory stretching from Europe to Asia. The 19th century saw Russia continue to grow, not just in size, but also in influence. As we delve into the 19th century, we witness Russia's relentless pursuit of expansion. The country's borders stretched out even further as it annexed territories in Central Asia and the Caucasus. These regions, with their diverse cultures and rich resources, became vital parts of the Russian Empire, contributing significantly to its economic and social fabric. The Russian Empire's role in global affairs was not confined to territorial expansion. It was a major player on the world stage, its actions echoing far beyond its borders. The empire's participation in World War I was pivotal, with the Eastern Front serving as a major theater of conflict. However, the war brought devastation and discontent, setting the stage for a seismic shift in the nation's political landscape. The Russian Revolution of 1917 marked the end of the Russian Empire and the birth of a new political entity, the Soviet Union. It was a time of profound change, as the old Tsarist regime was replaced by a communist government. This was not just a change in leadership, but a complete transformation of society, economics, and politics. In the aftermath of World War II, the Soviet Union didn't just bounce back, it expanded its influence even further. The country added several satellite states in Eastern Europe to its sphere of influence, extending its political and ideological reach. The Iron Curtain descended, dividing Europe into two distinct blocs. On one side, the capitalist West, and on the other, the communist East, with the Soviet Union at its helm. These historical events, from territorial acquisitions to ideological battles, underscore Russia's growth in the 19th century and beyond. Its size was matched by its global influence, with its actions shaping not just its own destiny, but that of the entire world. In the 20th century, Russia emerged as a superpower, its size and influence stretching across continents. So, how did Russia become so big? Well, as we've seen, it's a complex tale of strategic marriages, brutal conquests, daring exploration, and shrewd political maneuvering. From the birth of Russia and the rise of Moscow, to its relentless expansion eastward and its evolution in the 19th century and beyond, Russia's growth has been nothing short of dramatic. Firstly, we traced Russia's roots back to the early formation of Kievan Rus, a federation of Slavic tribes under the rule of Varangian warrior elites. The strategic marriages and alliances formed during this period played a crucial role in establishing a foundation for future expansion. Then, we saw how the rise of Moscow in the 14th century, under the leadership of figures like Ivan I, set the stage for Russia's emergence as a formidable power. Moscow's princes cleverly maneuvered themselves into a position of strength, leveraging their relationships with the Mongol Golden Horde to their advantage. Next, we moved to Russia's audacious expansion eastward, a testament to the country's exploratory spirit. This phase of expansion, initiated under Ivan IV, saw Russia spread its influence across Siberia and into the Far East, claiming vast, resource-rich territories. And finally, we explored the 19th century and beyond, when Russia, under the rule of Tsars like Alexander II, continued to consolidate its hold over its vast territories. This era saw a flurry of reforms and modernization efforts that further solidified Russia's position on the global stage. From the early days of Kievan Rus' to the present-day Russian Federation, Russia's history has been a tale of relentless expansion and consolidation. Key figures, strategic decisions, and historical events have all played their part in shaping this narrative. It's a story that continues to unfold, shaping the world in profound ways. From its humble beginnings to its current status as one of the world's largest countries, the tale of how Russia became so big is a fascinating study of history, politics, and power.